What is up, Fairy Fam? And welcome to another exciting edition of the Board Game Log. I don't know about y'all, but I had a really good month in July for board games. I ended up getting a total of 10 gameplays in, including 2 games that were entirely new to me. So I'm really excited to introduce you to a couple of new games, as well as talk about some of the fan favorites that obviously had to hit the table again. I'm also excited to jump into all of the games this month because we've got several across different mechanics, age types, and coziness level. So, without further ado, let's jump in. So first off, we have the games that are repeats for the series. The first game in that group is 10 Days in Beautiful Africa. As a quick reminder, that is a tile drafting game where you get to explore the beautiful terrain of Africa. The next repeat in the series was Villainous. Villainous this time, though, we did play with a total of 7 people. It's the largest group I've ever played with, and it did require an expansion. I will say, I don't recommend it. The most I've ever played with was 5 to 6 players, and that's probably the most that I would cap it at. So for future reference, for myself and anyone who might be looking at Villainous for a larger group, if it's what you have, go for it. It's still a great time and very enjoyable, but just know it takes a lot of time and can feel a little tedious, especially by the end of the game. The other repeat for this series was Sushi Go, which we did end up playing twice this month. It's such a fan favorite because it's so easy to hit the table and clean up, and it's so easy, simple, and just fun, and you never know what you're gonna get. The next set of games to talk about in today's edition are the games that are new to this series. So these are all games that I have played before, but I've not brought up or played since starting the series. The first game in this group is Gutenberg. Gutenberg is an order fulfillment game where you are all bidding against each other for who gets to act first. There are a limited number of orders and resources that are available each round, so it can get pretty intense. This is a game that I really love playing, but I'll be honest, I still haven't figured out a winning strategy yet. This is one of those games where I sit down and know that I will not win, but I'll have a great time playing, and that makes it a top game in my book. Next up in this group is Cartographers, which is a flip and write. So it is a card-based game where you are then drawing out a little map. It's got very fantasy TTRPG vibes, but in a really simple mechanic of creating little maps. One of my favorite bits of the game is that there is still an opportunity for other players to sabotage each other. And so it just has a really fun element to still engage with one another, even though you're still working on your own individual player mats. Next up in this group is Stardew Valley, the board game. That's right, Stardew Valley, the video game, has a board game version. Now, this is a really hard game to get your hands on as they have very limited printings. I was lucky enough to play it because my brother got it for their birthday, so they were gracious enough to share and let us play all together. It was so much fun. I will say there's a lot of fan service in the game, so if you're not necessarily a fan of the video game, the board game may not be for you. Now that said, it's a worker placement cooperative game, so it is really fun. I find it super, super enjoyable, and I can't wait to play it again. Last, but certainly not least in this group, we have Streets. Streets is a tile placement game where you are all trying to develop the best city based on the buildings and the point value that is available. It's a really fun, simple game that I've had for a while. It's one that we love to play as sort of either a quick play or as a sort of appetizer for a more crunchy game or something that's a little bit more intense. But it still holds up every single time we break it out, and I look forward to playing it more, and I'm sure it'll repeat later on in the series. Now, for the most exciting section of this video, we have the games that were new to me this month, and let me tell you, both of them were absolute rock stars that I cannot wait to get my hands on again and play over and over and over again. So game number 1 is Velociraptor Cannibalism. This is one that my parents brought over to play, and it's one that they played at a convention a couple of years ago and were devastated that they couldn't find it in print. Well, lo and behold, my mother, being the wonderful goddess that she is, found it. And so it has been the hilarious delight for all of us. It is the zaniest, silliest game. You are trying to collect different upgrades to your Velociraptor, but you're also trying to lay eggs, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of competition elements, so there's different attacks. But it gets so silly and so goofy that even though it's very competitive, it's still really, really enjoyable. So yeah, can't wait. I'm sure that one will be a major repeat on the series moving forward. Again, last but certainly not least, the best game, hands down, that I played last month was Wormspan. Now, for those that are familiar with Wingspan, it is by the same developer and has a similar vibe. It was marketed as sort of an update to Wingspan. In my opinion, they are two completely different games. You can tell that one is heavily inspired by the other, but just because you love Wingspan does not necessarily mean you'll love Wormspan, or vice versa. That said, Wormspan is an engine builder with multiple action economy elements. So you are collecting dragons, using their abilities to create the most intricate and full cave systems using other dragons, and then laying their eggs, feeding them, all sorts of different ways to make those points happen. I had an absolute blast with this game. The artwork is stunning, the gameplay is seamless, and it was just such a delight that we are really excited to be able to play it again in the future. This is one that's definitely now on our wish list because we had played it at a board game cafe that's local to us. But truly, if you get a chance, play it. It's such a blast. And that's it for my gameplays in July. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for your support. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment of what you played in July or what games you'd like to see me play in a future month. Until next time, see ya!